Welcome to Mystifying Miracles. Today, my story involves a woman who had to learn eventually later on in life to forgive her mother. And it's a wonderful story. So I hope you stick around and we're going to check out this miraculous one together in just a moment. So stay tuned. Anneliese Jawinski. There was one morning where she's just staring up, laying in her bed, looking at the ceiling and looking into the light bulb, and she's just pondering over things in her life. Well, all of this sudden, she got a strange feeling that came over her as she's looking into this light. There in the glowing light, she begins to see her mother's face. All of this sudden, terrified Anneliese. Fear overtook her whole body, and she thought for a moment, okay, maybe this is a nightmare, but she quickly realized, no, it's not a dream. She was actually seeing what she was seeing. In the fear that she was feeling in that moment, she yells out, "But my mother is dead. Did she come to get me?" Because for a second, Anneliese wondered, why am I seeing this? Am I dying? What is going on? So she was terrified. And then right after she feels that, she hears a quiet voice that says, "You haven't forgiven your mother." And she answers back to it, kind of like, "But I did. I thought I did that like 3 months ago prior to this happening." Right after she was finishing saying that back, she felt a momentary flash of guilt and sorrow. Now we're going to go back a little bit to understand how Anneliese grew up and what led to this. It was January of 1945. Anneliese was just 13 years old, and she and her family had just fled Poland. Her dad died when Anneliese was just a toddler, and then her mother remarried. Anneliese also had 4 brothers, and all of them, including Anneliese, highly disliked their new stepdad. He was cruel, and I mean very cruel, mainly to the boys. He never abused Anneliese, she says, but her brothers, he beat them black and blue all the time, constantly. And her mother would just stand by right there watching it, not intervening, not doing a thing. Anneliese always wondered as the years went by during those formative teenage years, like, does my mom really even care? Why is she allowing this to happen? Her heart was just hurting so very much that she didn't want to be home. So a lot of times she went over to one of her good friends' house there or her grandma's, because one of those 2 places always gave her the love and attention she needed. She didn't get that at home at all. Well, when her 2 oldest brothers were older teenagers, they actually got drafted into the German army. Anneliese, now it was just her, pretty much, and her other 2 brothers, but she didn't want to be home. Like, if 2 of them are gone, she wanted to leave home too. So Anneliese tries to convince her youngest brother, his name was Edmund, to flee with her. Like, they just run away together. However, Edmund, he was young, he was reserved, he was scared, and he told Anneliese so that he didn't want to do that. He was too scared to run away. So Anneliese told him, well, I'm not staying. I'm going to go it alone then. And then, that point in her life, Anneliese had so much hatred in her heart towards her mother. So she says that she couldn't leave home fast enough. She ended up moving in with a friend nearby, and her family, the friends, they treated Anneliese like one of their own. So Anneliese loved being there. But also about that time, the Russians, they were coming closer and closer to where this town was. So every night, the girls and the family, they'd hear heavy artillery back and forth all night long. And this frightened the whole town, everybody in it. Well, another 15-year-old girl and her family lived right next door to Anneliese's friends, where Anneliese was staying. And she confided in the two girls, the friends, that she wanted to flee towards West Germany because they were scared of all this Russian activity getting closer to them. So they all made the decision that they would leave together ASAP. Well, a day before they end up leaving, they meet a 17-year-old boy. His name was Jack. He had come into their town and come near their home, and it happens that he had deserted his post because he was supposed to be with the German army. Well, of course, he's, chatting with the girls and everything because he had fled, and he finds out they're wanting to flee towards West Germany. He's fleeing, so he tells the girls, look, I know of some ways that can get us there. So if we all stick together, I'll help you out. I'll help you along the way. And so the girls are like, great. All right, let's do that. So they all make the plan to do that. And Jack, he says, but one thing, don't tell anybody my identity. If they find out that I'm supposed to be at my German post and I fled, the Nazis will kill me. So the girls help him bury his army clothes into the garden, like they dig up a hole, bury it. They all change. They all pack a change of clothes with them, and they head out the next morning. Once they arrive at the train station the next morning, all the trains that were coming in and going, they were jam-packed. I mean, like sardines, full of soldiers. And all of these soldiers were retreating from the Russians and trying to get away as fast as possible. So, since they really didn't have room to hop on a train, they start walking. They start following the tracks west. Jack ended up teaching the girls how to jump up underneath the train cars. And before long, they all did it well, like very well. They would be jumping from train to train to train to get them further along their journey. When they got hungry, Jack would show the girls how to find food. So he would tell them that the homes of all the families and people fleeing, they would throw out all their food in the back. So they would rummage through these houses where the people had just left, and they would find food to eat. After 3 days' time, all of the group arrived in Berlin train station, and it was there that they all decided to part ways. Anneliese actually was taken in. A Red Cross worker had helped her get placed with a family, and it was a farm family. So she says they treated her like one of their own, so she fit in great, and she really liked living there. And during her time there, Anneliese said she would think of her brothers all the time. She'd wonder how they were, what they were doing. She also says that she didn't think about her mother, nor did she care how her mother was doing. Anneliese says she knew she was bitter to the core. So in that point of her life, she decided just to put it out of her mind, put her mom in the back, don't think about her, talk about her, and all will be fine. And she lost contact with her mother because of that. No writing, no calling, nothing. As the years progressed, Anneliese did find all 4 of her brothers, and they all kept in touch with each other. Still, though, she still never cared to contact or find her mother. In 1955, Anneliese met and married her husband. They immigrated together to Canada. Well, years pass on again, and Edmund one day, he calls Anneliese up, and they're just chatting, and it turns into a deep chat. He ends up telling Anneliese how much their mother had missed her when she left home all those years ago. And he told her, quote, he said, she cried herself to sleep many nights, hoping you would somehow contact her, end quote. He also told Anneliese that, Mom told me how sorry she was, and that she wanted you, Anneliese, to know how sorry she was, that she was quiet all those years, that she never spoke or stood up for any of us. He also told Anneliese, Mom blames herself ever since the day you left home, and that she wanted so badly to speak to you again, especially before she died. And as Anneliese, she's listening to her baby brother, not a baby, of course, but you know what I mean. That's Edmund, her youngest brother, and he's speaking to her, about all these things. Anneliese says that bitterness slowly started to tamper down and started to go away. Anneliese thought about this, and she slowly began to see that, wow, I guess maybe my mom really did love us, and she just didn't know how to show it. She was young. She had a new husband that she was trying to please, and, 5 children. That's a lot. Not trying to make an excuse for her, of course, but just trying to understand the position back then. Well, Anneliese, shortly after that, ends up walking by a photo of her mother, and she quietly, under her breath, just kind of just says it quickly, like, I forgive you. I don't know exactly if it was that tone, but point being, it wasn't from the heart. She wasn't thinking that in the moment. It was just words, almost like empty words, she says, because it just made Anneliese feel better, in the moment. But, it wasn't coming from deep down. Well, now we go back to the present situation when Anneliese, at the beginning of her story, she's looking up at that ceiling light and she begins to see her mother, and it frightens her. Well, after she hears the voice speak to her, Anneliese starts thinking in that moment, and she's like, oh my gosh, I haven't really forgiven her. And she realizes that those were empty words the 3 months prior when she just kind of said it in front of the photo. Then she hears a voice, that same voice that had just spoken to her moments prior, and it tells her, you need to forgive her with all your heart and soul. Anneliese knew it. She knew it. And immediately she says out to God aloud. She says, God, I forgive her. I really do. And she begins crying and tears are just coming down. She jumps out of bed quickly. She runs over to her mother's photo, picks it up, looks at it. She says that she was seeing her mother for the first time in a different light. When she was looking at that picture, it just wasn't the same. All that bitterness had just gone away. And as the tears are still pouring down Anneliese's face, she says aloud, as she's looking into the picture, she says, Mom, I forgive you. I forgive you with all my heart. She says that a few more times. And then she says a peace began to wash over her from head to toe. I mean, it's inexplicable when you feel a peace like that. So it just started washing over her. And Anneliese says immediately, it's like this huge, heavy burden that she didn't even realize she had been lifted. It was like she was light again. Anneliese wondered from that moment on, as time went by, she wondered, why did God allow me to see my mother's face that day in that light bulb? She kind of thinks that it was so that she could learn to forgive the way God forgives. Again, from that point on, when she thought of her mother, there was no bitterness. There was no anger. There was just peace. And she says she would look forward to the day she could spend eternity in heaven when she sees her mom again, them together, and that it would be the first time they truly have a loving relationship. What a story, guys. I really hope this was a blessing to you. I don't know how some people think towards, forgiveness. That's not a miracle. Actually, it really is. I believe it is, because it's not something we easily do most times. I know that in my life, I'm sure in you guys' life, there's been a time where something has happened to us in life, or someone has done something or said something, and we just are so angry. We hold it and we don't realize what that does to us mentally, physically, but also spiritually. That takes hold, and it's nasty stuff, guys. If there's somebody out there that man, I do need to forgive them. Really pray about that. Pray about that and ask God to help you to do so. It's so freeing. It is. I'm speaking from experience. And, I have to try to remind myself when I get to a state of, ooh, that person makes me mad, or, you just get angry thinking about a certain situation. You're like, nope. You kind of got to stop yourself in the tracks there and ask God to help you to no, I need to forgive. Like, I'd want somebody to forgive me. So I should extend that out. And that's biblical, guys. If we want God to forgive us, then we have to do that for others. Long story short, here in the end, I believe that forgiveness is truly a miracle. I just hope it was a blessing to you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if nothing else, put a smile on your face, made you think a little bit deeper about some things. Thank you for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm going to see you guys next time.